Welcome to the last caretaker. The Earth has been swallowed by the ocean, and our mission is to save humanity. This is an incredible open-world survival game. We'll have to navigate a flooded world with our own ship, crafting tools and weapons from salvaged technology, exploring forgotten places, and facing unspeakable horrors. The game is in early access. A new update just released in mid-December, including a whole new questline, new areas, and much more. Be sure to check out the game using my link in the description. Thank you to Channel 37 for sponsoring this video. I woke up in the middle of a dark room.
It's dark and quiet now, but it doesn't have to stay that way.
I needed to find a way to bring the power back online. I looted some items and the body fell to the ground. I wonder if I was the only one still functioning. With the cables I found, I was able to connect the medium battery to the outlet, bringing the power back on. The voice told me to head to the docking hangar.
There's something important there, waiting to show us our path.
I followed a hallway. It was pretty unsettling. Until I found a healing station. I was able to connect myself to it, restoring my health. Right next to it, there was a backup station, which worked as a save system. Further ahead, I found a door blocked by crates, almost like a barricade. I couldn't stop wondering what had happened here. Why would someone block this door? This is where things got disturbing. After that, I finally reached the docking hangar.
There she is, your vessel. More than just metal and circuits, it's your freedom.
Not only did I find a ship there, but I also reached level 2. My next objective was to restore the power and sail away. Before continuing, I checked out the skill tree. I could unlock things like a dismantle tool, electric cables, cable extenders, and more. I wasn't sure what was worth it yet, so I decided to save them for later. I also checked out the enhancers tab. I could increase vitality, carry weight, lifting capacity, and other stats. While trying to find a way to get the power back on, I found a ventilation shaft that could crawl through. Inside, there was another dead robot, missing a leg. The vent led me to the upper section of the hangar. That's when I noticed my energy bar empty. A low battery icon appeared, and I started losing health. I checked my inventory and used a consumable battery to restore some energy. I tried using a cable to connect a huge battery to the outlet, but the thing was on fire. I wasn't sure what to do, so I followed a cable upstairs, which led me outside the ship. It was raining heavily. I could barely see anything. It felt terrifying. Before exploring further, I went back inside and noticed an objective on the top left of the screen telling me to use the repair tool. I used it to repair the burning outlet, and thanks to that, power was restored. Now I had two objectives: prepare the vessel for my journey and use the recycler to extract materials. Since I was struggling with battery life, I spent my enhancer points to increase my battery capacity and also improve power management. Then I found a terminal that let me access the ship's cameras. It was unsettling. I could even see myself on one of the feeds. One camera was completely offline, showing only static. I also found a survival guide. It talked about finding human seeds, placing them into pods, and growing humans using food and memories to launch them into space. I stepped outside again. The rain had stopped. It was daylight. The ocean stretched endlessly in front of me. After all that darkness, it felt incredible. But then, I encountered more of those crawling creatures. I fought them and destroyed several tentacle growths. One of them was blocking the door, and removing it unlocked the ladder back into the hangar. Exploring around, I found a couple of machines that had no power. The screen told me to connect electricity. It was a fabricator and a recycler, which I needed to get running. I ended up using another ladder and got really close to the ocean water. I was scared to fall. Then I saw a corner I could jump to. I took the risk and I found a mattress and some fabric, but that wasn't all. There was a teddy bear and children's drawings, stick figures painted on the wall. I jumped back to where I was, barely making it. Then I noticed a weight icon next to my health bar. Too many items made me over-encumbered. After playing around with some cables, I realized I could fully recharge by connecting myself directly to a battery. Finally, I managed to get the power back to the recycler and turn all my trash into materials that started coming out, piling up. It was pretty satisfying to see. I grabbed everything and reached level 3. I also realized I could actually throw physical objects into the recycler. Rubber tires, metal beams, crates, anything. One of the large crates was too heavy. I could move it on the ground, but I wasn't strong enough to lift it. Thing is, while checking the enhancers tab, I noticed something called improved hydraulics, which increased my lifting capacity. I upgraded it, tried again, and this time it worked. I could lift the crate and toss it inside the recycler. Also, while moving another crate, it got tangled with the cable. The thing snapped and cut power to the recycler. It was pretty cool to see. I climbed down the ladder and found an electric grenade, along with more scrap I could grab. Right next to a sleeping bag, there were crayons on the floor. Another stickman drawing was painted on the wall. While exploring further, I found small batteries lying around, and even another broken robot hanging from a staircase. That's when I had an idea. I grabbed the body with me. On the way, it got completely tangled around the cable. It was pretty funny. I finally threw it into the recycler and it worked. Huge amounts of materials came out, including aluminum. After that, it was time to check the boat. I climbed on board and started working on the repairs. The first thing was fixing the diesel engine, which was quite simple using my repair tool. I then grabbed a small diesel container, but I wasn't sure how to refuel the boat. I unlocked the fuel cable skill, thinking that was the solution, but then I realized there was a massive diesel tank right next to the ship. With the fuel cable, I connected it to the boat and watched the numbers go up as the fuel flowed in. I also found another battery and connected it to the ship. Then I attached both the diesel engine cylinder and the electric engine cylinder. The boat was now ready. Before setting off, I unlocked something called the Dura Pack. I fabricated the necessary materials to make one and built it. It was basically a storage chest, something I desperately needed. Finally, I went up to the top of the ship, where the controls were located, including tons of screens showing things like wind speed, temperature, ship health, fuel levels, even time of day. There was also a map screen, but most of it was still blacked out. It was time to move. I grabbed the steering wheel, pulled the anchor up. Slowly, the ship started to move. The world was nothing but ocean.
This vessel is more than just machinery. It's your refuge, your home now. Restoring navigational relays will illuminate our way. Beacon 49, eastward, should be your first step.
I needed to restore a navigational beacon. I also needed to fabricate a solar panel, since I would need sustainable power to survive. As I moved forward, I noticed something in the water. A robotic shark. It swam alongside the ship. It just followed me. Then, rain started pouring down. Visibility dropped hard, but the moment felt incredible. Eventually, the storm faded and I reached a habitat node, getting to level 4. I spotted more sharks in the distance, 2 of them. I didn't want to risk it, so I stayed on course towards the navigational beacon. The sunset was beautiful. But night was coming. Another shark appeared right in front of me. I tried to steer away. I wasn't sure if they were aggressive yet. The moon rose on the horizon as I finally reached my destination.
The systems here sleep without power, and without their signal, we drift aimlessly. Bring back the power and awaken the beacon's voice to guide us forward.
I parked the ship as close as I could, dropped the anchor, and shut the engines down. I jumped onto the platform. While exploring, I found another broken robot and threw it onto the ship, so I could recycle it later. I kept doing that with anything valuable I found. I didn't want to leave any resources behind. As I searched further, I ran into a lot of small robot enemies. I dealt with them, but then something much worse appeared. Worm-like creatures, which were incredibly creepy. There were dozens of them. They jumped through the air at me, swarming me all at once. I panicked and ran, jumping back onto my ship just in time. The things threw themselves into the water. Seeing that was terrifying. I restored my energy using the ship's power and healed myself. The storm rolled in, and night fell. While waiting for the rain to pass, I threw the robot into the recycler, processing the materials. I also reorganized my supplies on the ship, lining up the canisters and storage neatly. Even though the ship was anchored, the waves were strong. The storm rocked the boat up and down. The ocean was angry. The worm-like creatures were still there. I wasn't sure how to deal with them. Maybe I needed a weapon or some kind of upgrade. Eventually, the storm passed and daylight returned. The worms were gone. It seemed they only appeared at night. I continued exploring and found more of those tentacle growths from earlier. I destroyed them alongside with more robots. I kept throwing stuff to my ship, sometimes failing. I also found some solar panels nearby, which reminded me I had forgotten to make one of my own. I opened the skills panel, unlocked the Lumilite, and fabricated it. After getting the power up, I stumbled upon a new type of enemy, slime-like creatures that crawl along the walls. I wondered where all these things came from. My health dropped quickly, so I had to retreat. Luckily, there was a healing station in the next room. While recycling more materials, I reached level 5, built another storage chest, a second solar panel, and even a couple of wind-powered generators. While exploring the platform, I found a control panel next to a door. It said Beacon 49, authorization required. I could see the room was filled with those small robots. I noticed a Pico terminal close by and checked it out. There was an option to acquire the required authorization. I downloaded and got access. The door opened, and I had to deal with all the robots inside.
The communication array is damaged. Repair it, recharge the relay, and let the beacon speak again.
I needed to charge the uplink, so I made my way to the top of the building. Eventually, I reached the rooftop and followed a broken staircase along the tower. Climbing it was nerve-wracking. Parts of the staircase were missing, and at one point, I even saw another dead robot hanging from the structure. Near the top, I had to make a jump and grab onto a ladder. Managed to make it on the second attempt. Once at the top, I saw that the antenna was damaged. I needed iron to repair it, which I had back at the ship's storage. I tried climbing back down, but I had to repeat the entire climb, but I managed to repair the communications array and also unlock the ladder which led all the way down. Next, I needed to charge the relay. I repaired the solar panels near the entrance of the building and unlocked the electric cable and cable extender from the skills tab. I crafted an extender, but for some reason I couldn't move it. It was completely stuck on the ground and I couldn't figure out how to pick it up. So I crafted another extender directly on the platform. This one worked. I used it to connect all the solar panels into a single network and routed the power to the station. Then night fell and the worm-like creatures returned. Since it was too dangerous, I retreated back to the ship and waited for the daylight. While waiting, I unlocked the small battery skill. Once morning came, I returned to the platform and tried connecting everything again. This time, it worked. The panel showed the array was charging, although slowly. While that finished, I kept loading anything I could. Robots, scrap, anything valuable. To speed things up, I crafted a small battery and brought it to the platform. By connecting it, the charge rate increased a lot, although it wasn't finished yet. I checked the skills tab again and unlocked an electric pistol, which of course I made sure to craft right away. Finally, I had a real weapon. I could charge it with electricity. The thing felt pretty good. Next, I unlocked the diesel generator. This machine could convert organic material into diesel fuel. I first placed it in the room next to me, but I had nowhere to route the output, so I had to dismantle, getting all the materials back, and move it to the upper deck of the ship. I fed it the organic material and washed as it produced diesel, fueling the ship's tank. With that done, I returned to the relay to activate it.
Beyond these waters awaits the Lazarus Complex, humanity's greatest hope. Seek it out, caretaker.
I checked the map. I could now clearly see the location of the complex, alongside several new points of interest. It was finally time to move. I pulled up the anchor and sailed towards the complex. It was quite a long trip. Good thing I had enough fuel thanks to the diesel generator. Finally, I was getting closer.
The Lazarus complex. Its halls lie dormant, waiting for you to bring it back to life.
The storm was so strong that I couldn't see anything at all. The waypoint disappeared completely, but fortunately, slowly through the fog, I began to see it. The Lazarus complex emerged as the storm faded away. I docked the ship and jumped onto the platform. There was an elevator I could call, but it wouldn't move. The power was out and I needed another way inside. After destroying a tentacle creature nearby, I found a ventilation shaft. I moved some crates out of the way and crawled inside. Unfortunately, it led to a dead end. There was a sleeping bag though, some supplies, and even a guitar I could loot. On the other side, I found a staircase. I climbed up and started doing parkour across broken sections of the structure. I had to jump gaps, climb ledges, and deal with more robots along the way. I kept moving higher, climbing across pipes and vents, eventually going through another ventilation shaft.
The power's offline. We can't access the Hall of Humanity unless you find the main power. It should be on the roof.
I needed to gain entry to the Hall of Humanity. To progress, I had to jump down into the water. I immediately climbed the ladder on the other side. The place was dark, so eerie. I moved forward. I found both a healing station and a backup station inside the complex, which was a relief. After a long stretch of climbing and jumping, I ran into a big tentacle growth. When I attacked it, new creatures appear, flying enemies. I used my electric pistol to deal with them. Eventually, I reached the exterior again. A quick clarification. The game received an update in the middle of this video, so from now on, you'll see that new version. It adds things like new locations, missions, caves, binoculars, and much more. There's a lot coming in 2026. The devs are constantly adding content. Back to the video. I kept climbing and climbing and climbing. There was so much vertical movement in this area. Along the way, I had to fight more tentacles and endless robots. Eventually, I reached the top. That's where I encountered a new enemy type. Huge flying robots. I don't even know how to describe them properly. They hovered in the air, making eerie noises. It was unsettling. There were also a lot of small robot enemies swarming the area. I connected my electric gun directly to a solar panel just to keep it powered. I needed ranged damage to survive. With that done, I tried connecting everything. It seems it wasn't enough. Then night fell and the warm creatures returned. I was low on health with almost no energy and nowhere to go. I avoided the worms, running in circles, just trying to stay alive until sunrise. Once daylight returned, I tried using a battery, but the door still wouldn't open. There had to be another way. I found a room I hadn't been to before. It had a recycler, several small batteries, a fabricator, and a healing station. Just what I needed. By accident, I connected myself to the power outlet, but that worked. The voice spoke again, saying that the power was restored and now the Hall of Humanity could be entered. To make it stable, I connected it with the cable which I ran outside and linked it to the solar panels. Power was fully on. From the terminal, I could now access the security systems, cameras, feeds from inside the Hall of Humanity. The entire complex was infested with tentacle growths. I recycled everything I had collected. While doing that, I unlocked something called an Oni Spark cell. The description said it was a backpack. I fabricated it, equipped it, and could see it on my character's back in the inventory screen. Finally, the doors opened. I found an elevator and used it to go down.
You've proven that what was lost can still matter. Carry this truth forward, Caretaker. There is much yet to be done. The Lazarus racks have stood empty and broken long enough. Restore one to working order. It's our only hope of bringing humanity back from the silence. The relay atop the Lazarus waits quietly. Its guidance is crucial. Bring it back online, Caretaker, and let its signal shine again.
I now had two new objectives: repair and power a Lazarus rack and activate the navigation relay. To fix the rack, I was missing some materials: gold, aluminum, carbon fiber, and titanium. I wasn't even sure if I had them stored back on the ship. The complex was massive. Upper levels, lower levels, corridors, rooms. It felt like a maze. I almost got lost a couple of times while exploring. Along the way, I found more tentacled creatures. One of them was huge. It took a long time, but I eventually managed to destroy it. After a lot of trial and error, I finally found a shortcut, an elevator near the starting area that led straight back to my ship. What a journey. From the materials I had on my storage chest, I realized I was only missing carbon fiber and titanium. I managed to get them both by recycling some robots. I also scrapped some high-tech debris I found around the complex. Next, I downloaded the Hall of Humanity authorization from a nearby terminal. With that done, I finally had everything I needed. I repaired one of the Lazarus racks and used a small battery to power it up.
A Lazarus rack is ready once more. You've rebuilt more than machinery, Caretaker. You've rekindled humanity's future. Now the seeds of our survival can grow again. Our survival depends on locating a seed vault. There are whispers of one hidden far to the north. It safeguards the precious human seeds.
Now, I needed to locate a seed vault to retrieve a human seed and transport it back to the Hall of Humanity. At this point, over-encumbrance was becoming a serious problem, so I unlocked a new skill for a larger storage container. I also realized I could build storage directly on the wall, which helped a lot. After crafting another chest, I began searching for the navigational relay. It wasn't without its setbacks though. I ran into new tentacles. These ones spawned different enemies, spiders, a lot of them. They were disgusting. Luckily, there was a healing station there, which saved me. The same room also had a food processor. It was broken and repairing it would have required a lot of materials, so I decided to not waste resources yet. I also found a basketball. There was even a working scoreboard above it. It was really hard though. I tried dozens of times and eventually, I made my way back to the rooftop and started charging the navigational relay. While that was working, I practiced my basketball skills outside. The uplink was finally ready. The only thing left to do was repair the communications array. Once again, that meant climbing stairs and carefully navigating the broken structure without falling. After a lot of parkour, I made it all the way up and repaired it. I received new coordinates. My next destination was Norfolk Grave, where I needed to uncover the secrets of the seed vault. The map was suddenly filled with new points of interest. There were places to explore everywhere. Before leaving, I recycled more robots and reached level 8. I refilled the ship's diesel tank to prepare for the trip, and I also unlocked new power options. Once everything was set up, I pulled up the anchor and sailed away. I got distracted watching the storm through the ship's window. I wasn't paying attention and crashed into a habitat node. I dropped the anchor and decided to investigate. The thing was completely overrun with the slime. There was so much of it that it felt endless. I tried fighting it, even using my gun fully charged, but the thing was incredibly resistant. I was taking too much damage. Somehow, after a really long fight, I finally cleared the place and found a book, Field Guide to First Aid, Essential Skills for Uncertain Times. Eventually, I reached Norfolk Grave. The bad news was that I had completely ran out of fuel. The panel in the lower right corner showed 0 liters. I had gotten distracted watching the water and didn't notice in time. I was stranded. I was technically at the objective, but I couldn't see anything around me. I grabbed all the organic material from my storage chest and fed it into the diesel generator. While it produced fuel, I decided to take a swim. The water was pitch black. Looking down in the deep ocean felt terrifying, just an endless abyss. I moved the ship closer to the waypoint and dove in once more. That's when I found a building completely submerged. On the rooftop, there were tentacle growths. As I explored, I noticed a pressure icon next to my health bar. The depth itself was hurting me. I explored the wreckage, fascinated by it, swimming around massive tentacles. But then everything went wrong. Be sure to check out the game using my link in the description. Thank you to Channel 37 for sponsoring this video.